One of the things I love living in Croatia is that there is always something new to discover. And even though I've been here for 22 years, every year I seem to come across new and wonderful things all across this great country. And 2024 was no exception. So here are 10 things that after 22 years I discovered for the first time and I really enjoyed. Some of them were really quite surprising. First off is I went to the only river street in the whole of Croatia and the wider region. And this is in Slavonski Brod. And there is a little street on the Sava which is made up completely of 108 rafts, or splavs in Croatian. It's called Splavarska ulica, Raft Street. Every single raft is individual in its design. They're about 2 or 3 meters apart, so it's all very well organized, as you can see here. And they all actually have their own postal address, and so the postman can actually come and deliver post there. They're mostly used for people just chilling out and weekend houses and so on. And I went there, and the lifestyle there is what I would call a Slavonska fiaka, Slavonian fiaka. It's very chilled. The guys I met were fantastic. We had a great barbecue on the beach, went up and down on the boat. Fantastic place to be. Number 2 is the old town of Makarska. Makarska is a town I know pretty well. You know, it's sort of, for me, living in Dalmatia, it's the Makarska Riviera is full of its beaches. It's known as being fairly overbuilt with its concrete apartments. But something is happening quite interesting in the old town itself and in the centre. And the new administration is really working hard to get rid of all the illegal buildings and snack bars and so on, and they've all now gone. And they've really invested and given incentives to people to come and open up businesses inside the historic old town itself. And if you're willing to stay open for a minimum of 6 months a year, there are various tax breaks. They've invested heavily into turning it into a very green sort of old town. They have the longest street, Cala Larga, which is beautiful. And honestly, walking around the old town of Makarska was definitely the greenest old town I've been to. And it's great to see all these artisan shops opening up. There was a German specialty coffee shop, which is doing really well. And there's a really outstanding, authentic Thai restaurant there, which is open 12 months a year. And so this is something where, you know, perhaps Makarska's got the reputation of being sort of for cheaper tourism overdeveloped. But if you come into the centre, there's been a real revolution that's taken place in the last 2-3 years. Great. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and hands down for me, the best breakfast I've ever seen in Croatia is at a 4-star boutique apart hotel in the centre of Zagreb called Doma Zagreb. You can only have the breakfast currently if you're staying there, and I really recommend you do just for the breakfast. And if you check out the reviews of Doma Zagreb, I've never seen a facility which just focuses so many positive reviews on the breakfast. And here, as you can see, it's beautifully done. There's this prosciutto and cheese that you start, but also with all these little extras. Local sort of homemade watermelon jam, for example, is one thing I particularly enjoyed. And then you have a choice of 3 different eggs Benedict, followed by this wonderful yogurt selection and homemade bread, even rakia. And a total price of €15, and it's one of the best value meals I think I've had in Croatia, and definitely the best start to the day. So check out Doma Zagreb next time you're coming to the capital. Number 4, as you know, I'm a beer man, and one of the things I had never heard about but I really enjoyed this year was the Ombre Homebrew Festival in Osijek. And this is a festival now in its 5th or 6th year, I think, and it's held out in an industrial area just outside the centre. And there are only 500 tickets available, and you go in there, and for that you get unlimited drinking for 6 hours, and a burger and a hot dog. And there were 125 from memory kegs of beer, and they were changed every sort of hour or so. And I think about 100 different types of beer to enjoy, with some really quite unusual flavours. And the atmosphere inside was fantastic. My overriding memory, and it will scar me for life, is being forcefully offered some stout with a coconut flavour by the legend that is Boris Ocic, which will stay with me for quite some time. Number 5, Croatia is improving its 5-star hotel offer year on year, and they're more and more opening. One of the best openings this year was in Opatija, which is the birthplace of tourism in Croatia. Actually celebrated 180 years this year. And right in the centre is the Kate Hotel, which is a curio by Hilton. I went there. It's a very modern in design. It's beautifully done. One of the most comfortable hotels I've stayed in my time in Croatia. And I particularly loved waking up in the morning with the windows open and having the sunset come in on 2 sides. It's a very special hotel. And if you're going to Opatija, check it out. And even if you're not staying, do go to the rooftop terrace for a cocktail. It's the only rooftop bar in the city, and it's absolutely delightful. Number 6 was the biggest surprise of the year for me, a town about which I knew almost nothing, Novska, which is a town in western Slavonia, the first in Slavonia, about an hour east of Zagreb. And there were 3 things that really amazed me about this place. Number 1 was we went to the Festival of Lukovo, which is their day of the town, and they had this park where they had a reenactment of about 20 different scenes from 19th century Slavonian life, a school, a post office, a wedding, a funeral, a shoe cleaning boy, traditional games. And it was all done, everyone was acting, and it really, really brought out Slavonian tradition in a fantastic way. And I've never seen anything quite like that in Croatia. And the second thing that they're doing there is quite amazing. They've had over 100 million euros in EU funds, and this is for a town of only sort of 11,200 people. Kindergarten places have gone up from 100 to 600 in 6 years. There's a real vibrancy and a lot of youth in the town. And the main thing they have there is they have 50 million euros to develop a gaming campus. And in the next few years, Novska will be one of the top gaming destinations in the whole of Europe. Croatia currently has 376 gaming businesses in the country, and 88 of those already are based in Novska. And the final thing I really liked about Novska was their heavy investment into social welfare, social enterprise. And so they had a lot of outreach programs for old people. Rather than going to homes, they had sort of day centres, a lot of stuff for adolescents to do. They've renovated all the villages around their Dom Kulturi and turned them into social enterprise places. So check out Novska. It's a very different approach to what other cities are doing. Number 7, I was invited in November by a friend in Osijek to come to a secret dinner in Baranja. I was told nothing more than that, and I ended up in this lovely little 3-story house and surrounded with a swimming pool and a lake and 100,000 square meters of pristine land, total in isolation. And it's called Stipino, and the owner is Stipe, and he's one of the most hospitable people I met. And it was a dinner for 24, 25 people. Saw the carp on the stick. You had a fantastic food. It went on till 6 in the morning. And this is something that's now once a month dinner at Stipe's. And if you have the chance, really go and check it out. He's an amazing guy. It's a great spot. And number 8, again, very close to Osijek in Chepin, is a wellness and wholeness hotel called Matera, which is a blend of mater and terra, the 2 Latin words for mother of the land. And this is one of the most extraordinary places I've been to. Again, in total isolation. All you see when you open the curtains in the morning and sit on your terrace is this flat sea of green. You're totally immersed in nature and in silence. And this was definitely one of the most relaxing and chill places I've been to in my time in Croatia. And right next door you have Crna Svinja, or Black Pig, which is also owned by the same people. And it's one of the best restaurants I've been to in Slavonia for sure, and fantastic. And there's a medical tourism facility, a clinic next door. And down the road they have this factory which is making prosciutto, and everything under one roof, no neighbours, total control, and just very flat, beautiful nature. Absolutely loved it. And number 9, there's been a real growth in rural family tourism in recent years in Croatia. But did you know that there is a little place east of Slavonski Brod with its own private airfield? So if you want to fly in for lunch to Ranch Ramadin, they have 16 horses available for horse riding. Some of the food was absolutely outstanding, and again, 100,000 square meters of their own land. They're in complete control, and they're building up something really quite special there. And it was a really exciting and wonderful day out. And finally, number 10, and this is definitely not something new for a lot of people, but it was for me, even though I'd lived on an island for 13 years. Cruising the Adriatic. I was fortunate enough at the end of August to partner with Katarina Line, the biggest small ship cruising company in Croatia, to take advantage of one of their 7-day cruises from Split to Dubrovnik via the islands. And just 7 days of absolute heaven, going from Brač to Hvar to Korčula to Miljet to Dubrovnik, and then back into Pelješac, and then back to Brač and to Split. Just arriving right at the right time every time, no queues, no cars, just itinerary that was absolutely perfectly arranged. I loved sailing by the walls of Dubrovnik at sunset. That was absolutely perfectly planned, and there was a really good combination of culture, tradition, wine tasting, gourmet, and plenty of time for people to enjoy. And they do a range of tours. I was on one of the luxury ones. They also do things much cheaper, and if you book at the right time with a discount, you can actually go on a 7-day cruise with them this year for just £569 for 7 days. So I encourage you to check that out. So there we go. It's 22 years in, just still loads of amazing things to see in this fantastic country. And I look forward to seeing what we can find in 2025. See you there.